The rain fell hard on the busy streets of Los Angeles that cold December evening. Most people hurried past with umbrellas and warm coats, eager to get home or reach their next destination. No one paid much attention to the small boy sitting alone on a bench near the famous Grand Plaza Hotel. 11-year-old Joey Miller pulled his thin jacket tighter around his shoulders. The jacket was too small for him now, but it was all he had. His dirty blonde hair was wet from the rain, and his green eyes watched the fancy cars that kept stopping in front of the hotel. Joey had been homeless for almost 8 months now. Before that, he had lived with his mom, Linda, in a small apartment across town. Linda worked as a waitress at a local diner, and though they never had much money, they were happy. But then Linda got sick. Very sick. The hospital bills piled up, and soon they couldn't pay rent anymore. After Linda died, Joey had nowhere to go. He tried the foster care system for a while, but he ran away after being placed with a family that treated him badly. Since then, he had been living on the streets, sleeping in shelters when he could get a spot, and sometimes in alleyways when he couldn't. Tonight was supposed to be different. Joey had heard from other homeless people that the Grand Plaza Hotel was hosting a big charity event for children in need. He thought maybe he could get some food if he waited outside, maybe even find someone who could help him. As he sat there, a black car pulled up to the entrance. It wasn't as flashy as the other cars, but it was nice. Joey watched as a tall man with shoulder-length dark hair stepped out. The man wore a simple, black suit and had a kind face. Joey recognized him right away. It was Keanu Reeves, the actor from those action movies his mom used to love. Joey had never talked to a famous person before. He wasn't even sure if he should. But there was something about Keanu that seemed different from the other celebrities who had arrived earlier. He didn't have a big group of people around him. He thanked his driver with a smile and was about to walk into the hotel alone. Without really thinking about it, Joey stood up and walked toward him. A security guard started to move forward to stop him, but Joey was quick. He reached Keanu before anyone could intervene. "Excuse me, sir," Joey said in a quiet voice. Keanu stopped and turned to look at him. There was no annoyance on his face, just curiosity and something else, maybe concern. "My mom always said you were the kindest actor in Hollywood," Joey said, his voice shaking a little. He wasn't sure why he said that, maybe because it was true. His mom had always spoken highly of Keanu Reeves whenever his movies came on TV. Keanu's expression softened. He looked at the security guard and gave a small nod, letting him know everything was okay. Then he did something that surprised Joey. He knelt down so they were at eye level. "That's really nice of your mom to say," Keanu said. "What's your name?" "Joey." "Joey Miller," he answered, suddenly feeling shy. "It's good to meet you, Joey." "I'm Keanu," the actor said, extending his hand. Joey hesitated for a moment before shaking. His own hand was dirty and small compared to Keanu's. "Are you here alone, Joey?" Keanu asked, looking around. His voice wasn't pushy or suspicious. He sounded genuinely concerned. Joey nodded. "Yes, sir." "Where's your mom now?" Keanu asked gently. Joey looked down at his worn-out shoes. "She died. Cancer. 8 months ago." Keanu was quiet for a moment. When Joey looked up, he saw something in the actor's eyes, a deep sadness that seemed personal, like he understood loss too. "I'm sorry to hear that, Joey," Keanu said. "Cancer took someone I loved too." Joey didn't know what to say to that, he just nodded. He hadn't expected to have a real conversation with Keanu Reeves on a rainy night outside a fancy hotel. "Are you hungry, Joey?" Keanu asked. Joey nodded again, more eagerly this time. He hadn't eaten since yesterday when a kind woman at the diner had given him some leftover pancakes. "Me too," Keanu said with a small smile. "I was just heading in for this event, but the food at these things is never that good. Tiny little bits on crackers." He made a face that made Joey laugh. "What do you say we go get some real food instead, Joey?" Couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Really?" "Really," Keanu confirmed. "There's a good burger place just down the street. We can walk there if you want." A man in a suit, probably Keanu's manager or something, approached them with a concerned look. "Mr. Reeves, the event is starting in 15 minutes. You're supposed to give a speech." Keanu stood up and placed a gentle hand on Joey's shoulder. "Tell them I'm sorry, but something more important came up. I'll make a donation double what they expected." The man looked at Joey, then back at Keanu, and something in his expression changed. He nodded. "I'll take care of it." Keanu turned back to Joey. "How does that burger sound?" "Good," Joey said, still not quite believing this was happening. "Really good." They started walking, Keanu matching his pace to Joey's smaller steps. People on the street did double takes when they saw them, a famous actor and a clearly homeless kid walking side by side. At the burger place, they sat in a corner booth. Joey tried to be polite and order just a small burger, but Keanu encouraged him to get whatever he wanted. He ended up with a double cheeseburger, large fries, and a chocolate milkshake, his mom's favorite treat for special occasions. While they ate, Keanu asked Joey questions about himself. Not nosy questions, but genuine ones. He wanted to know what Joey liked to study in school before he had to leave, what kind of movies he enjoyed, what he wanted to be when he grew up. Joey found himself talking more than he had in months. He told Keanu about how he liked science and how his mom used to help him with experiments in their tiny kitchen. He talked about his dream of becoming a doctor someday, so he could help people like his mom. And he shared stories about Linda, how she would work double shifts but still find time to read to him before bed, how she could make him laugh even on bad days, and how she never complained, not even when she was very sick. As Joey talked, he noticed Keanu listening carefully to every word. The actor wasn't checking his phone or looking around the restaurant. He was fully present, his eyes kind and attentive. When they finished eating, Keanu asked the question Joey had been dreading. "Where are you staying tonight, Joey?" Joey looked down at his empty plate. "I was going to try the shelter on 7th Street, but sometimes it's full." Keanu was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he said, "I know some people who can help. Good people. Who work with kids in situations like yours. Would you trust me to make a call?" Joey wasn't sure. He'd learned to be cautious on the streets, but there was something trustworthy about Keanu. Maybe it was the way he had listened, or how he seemed to understand loss, or simply the kindness in his eyes. "Okay," Joey said finally. Keanu stepped away to make a phone call. Joey watched him through the window, talking animatedly, gesturing with his free hand. When he came back, there was a smile on his face. "I have a friend named Carol who runs a special program for kids who need a safe place to stay. She has a spot for you tonight, and we can talk more tomorrow about finding you somewhere permanent, somewhere good. Would that be okay?" For the first time in months, Joey felt a small spark of hope. He nodded, a lump in his throat making it hard to speak. As they left the restaurant, the rain had stopped. The city streets glistened under the streetlights. Joey looked up at Keanu, this famous actor who had taken the time to help a kid no one else noticed. "Thank you," Joey said simply. Keanu smiled and placed a gentle hand on Joey's shoulder. "Your mom was right about one thing," he said. "Kindness matters. It might be the only thing that really does." The next morning, Joey woke up in a clean, warm bed. For a moment, he was confused. He had grown used to waking up in shelters or hidden corners of the city. This room was small but nice, with blue walls and a window that let in bright sunlight. Then he remembered the night before, meeting Keanu Reeves outside the hotel, eating burgers together and coming to this place called New Beginnings Youth Center. Carol, the woman who ran the center, had been kind. She gave Joey clean clothes, showed him to a shower, and made sure he had a good breakfast before bed. She didn't ask too many questions, which Joey appreciated. She just told him he was safe here and could stay as long as needed. Joey got out of bed and put on the clean clothes, jeans and a red t-shirt that fit him better than anything he'd worn in months. He made his bed carefully, the way his mom had taught him. Then he walked out to find Carol. The center was bigger than Joey had realized last night. There were other kids there too, about 10 of them, all eating breakfast in a sunny room with long tables. Carol saw Joey and waved him over. "Good morning, Joey. Did you sleep well?" she asked, putting a plate of scrambled eggs and toast in front of him. Joey nodded, Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Someone's here to see you, Carol said with a smile. He's waiting in my office when you're done eating. Joey knew who it was before she said the name. He ate quickly, then followed Carol to her office. Sure enough, Keanu Reeves was there, sitting in a chair and reading a book. He wasn't dressed fancy like many celebrities Joey had seen in magazines. He wore jeans, a black t-shirt, and a denim jacket. He looked up when Joey entered and smiled. Good morning, Joey, Keanu said, standing up. How are you feeling today? Better, Joey said honestly. It was amazing what a shower, clean clothes, and a good night's sleep could do. Thank you for bringing me here. Keanu nodded. Carol and I have been friends for years. She does good work here. Carol smiled at that. Keanu has been supporting this center for a long time. Without his help, we couldn't help as many kids. Joey was surprised. He hadn't known that Keanu did things like this. The news never showed celebrities doing good things unless it was for publicity. But this seemed different, more real. Joey, we need to talk about what happens next, Carol said gently. Keanu told me a little about your situation, but I need to know more to help you properly. Joey felt nervous. He didn't want to go back to the foster home he had run away from. But Carol seemed nice and Keanu trusted her. What do you want to know? Joey asked. How long have you been on your own? Carol asked. About 3 months, Joey admitted. Before that, I was in a foster home after my mom died, but... He stopped, not wanting to say bad things about the people there. It wasn't a good place? Keanu guessed. Joey shook his head. They only wanted the money from the state. They didn't care about us kids. The man there, he would get angry a lot. He never hit me, but he scared me. Carol wrote something in her book. So you ran away, and you've been living on the street since then? Yes, ma'am. I tried to go to school for a while, but it got too hard without clean clothes and stuff. And I was always hungry, so it was hard to focus. Joey saw Keanu and Carol exchange a look. There was sadness in Keanu's eyes. Joey, I want to help you, Keanu said. Not just for a night or two, but really help you get back on your feet. Would that be okay? Joey looked at him, not sure what to say. Why would a famous actor care about him? Why? He finally asked. Why are you helping me? Keanu didn't answer right away. He seemed to be thinking carefully about his words. When I was young, my family struggled too, Keanu said. Not the same as you, but we moved around a lot. Money was tight. And I lost someone very important to me when I was not much older than you are now. He paused. Sometimes people helped us. They didn't have to, but they did. And now that I can, I want to do the same. Joey believed him. There was something honest about the way Keanu spoke, like he wasn't just saying what he thought Joey wanted to hear. What happens now? Joey asked. Carol leaned forward. We need to contact social services. Let them know you're safe, but... She added quickly when she saw Joey's worried face. We'll make sure you don't go back to that foster home. Keanu has some ideas about that. Keanu nodded. I know a family. Good people. They've been looking to foster a child with the possibility of adoption if things work out. The husband, Steve, works as a science teacher at a middle school. His wife, Mary, is a nurse. They have a nice house with a yard and a dog named Buddy. Joey's heart beat faster. A science teacher and a dog. It sounded too good to be true. They live about 20 minutes from here, Keanu continued. If you want, we could meet them today just to talk, no pressure. Joey thought about it. He was still scared to trust, but Keanu had already helped him more than anyone had since his mom died. Okay, he said. I'd like to meet them. 2 hours. Later, after a meeting with a social worker who was surprisingly helpful, maybe because Keanu Reeves was sitting there too, Joey was sitting in Keanu's car heading to meet Steve and Mary Clark. Are you nervous? Keanu asked as they drove. A little, Joey admitted. What if they don't like me? Keanu glanced at him. Joey, they're going to love you. Just be yourself. That's more than enough. They pulled up to a light blue house with white shutters. It wasn't big or fancy, but it looked well cared for. There were flowers in the garden and a basketball hoop over the garage. Before they could even get out of the car, a golden retriever came bounding across the yard, followed by a tall man with glasses and a woman with curly brown hair. They both smiled and waved. "That's Buddy," Keanu said, nodding toward the dog. "And those are the Clarks." Joey took a deep breath and got out of the car. Buddy reached him first, tail wagging so hard his whole body shook. Joey couldn't help but smile as he petted the friendly dog. "You must be Joey," the man said, extending his hand. "I'm Steve, and this is my wife Mary. We're really happy to meet you." Joey shook their hands, surprised by how normal and friendly they seemed. They didn't look at him with pity or like he was a problem to solve. "Keanu tells us you're interested in science," Steve said as they walked toward the house. "I teach 8th grade science. Always nice to meet a fellow science enthusiast." "I like doing experiments," Joey said shyly. "My mom and I used to make volcanoes with baking soda and vinegar." "A classic," Steve said with genuine enthusiasm. "I do that demonstration every year with my students. But have you ever tried the one with Mentos and diet soda?" Joey shook his head and Steve launched into an explanation of the experiment, his eyes lighting up. Mary caught Joey's eye and smiled warmly. "Steve gets excited about science," she said. "Our backyard has been the site of many interesting experiments." As they entered the house, Joey felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of possibility. He didn't know if this would work out, but for the first time since losing his mom, he allowed himself to hope. Keanu hung back a little, watching Joey with the Clarks and their dog. There was a small smile on his face. Sometimes, the right connection at the right time could change everything. He had a feeling this might be one of those times. The visit with the Clarks went better than Joey could have hoped. They showed him around their house, including a room that could be his. It had blue walls, a desk by the window, and empty shelves waiting to be filled. Steve explained that they wanted whoever stayed with them to make the room their own. "You like to read?" Mary asked when she noticed Joey looking at the bookshelf in the living room. Joey nodded. "My mom and I used to go to the library every Saturday. I haven't been able to read much lately." Mary smiled. "We can fix that. Steve and I are both big readers." They had lunch in the backyard, sandwiches and lemonade. Joey played fetch with Buddy, who seemed to have endless energy. The dog would bring back the ball, drop it at Joey's feet, and look up with hopeful eyes until Joey threw it again. "He likes you," Steve said, watching them play. "Buddy's a good judge of character." After lunch, Steve showed Joey his small home laboratory in the garage where he prepared experiments for his classes. There were test tubes, a microscope, and all sorts of interesting tools Joey had only seen in school. "Maybe we could do some experiments together sometime," Steve suggested. "If you decide you'd like to stay with us, that is." Throughout the visit, Keanu stayed nearby, watching but letting Joey talk with the Clarks on his own. Joey appreciated that. It showed Keanu trusted him to make his own decisions. When it was time to leave, Mary gave Joey a hug. "We'd love to have you come stay with us, Joey. But we understand if you need time to think about it." Joey looked at the Clarks, their friendly dog, and the nice house. Then he looked at Keanu, who gave him an encouraging nod. "I'd like to stay," Joey said. "If that's okay." The Clarks both smiled widely. "More than okay," Steve said. "It's wonderful." The next few days were busy with paperwork and meetings. Carol from the youth center helped with the legal parts of Joey's placement with the Clarks. Joey stayed at the center during this time, but he talked to Steve and Mary on the phone every day. They were already planning things they could do together. Once Joey moved in, Keanu visited the center twice more. He brought Joey some new clothes, a backpack for school, and a science kit with simple experiments Joey could do at home. During his last visit before Joey was set to move in with the Clarks, Keanu took him for ice cream at a small shop near the center. "How are you feeling about everything?" Keanu asked as they sat at a table with their ice cream cones. "Good," Joey said. "A little scared, but good scared, you know?" Keanu nodded. "I know exactly what you mean. Change can be scary even when it's good change." Joey licked his chocolate ice cream, thinking, "Do you think they'll really want to keep me? What if they change their minds?" Keanu looked at Joey seriously. The Clarks are good people, Joey. I've known them for years. Steve helped with a charity project I worked on for schools, and Mary was my friend's nurse when he was sick. They've wanted a child for a long time, and they chose to be foster parents because they want to help kids who need it most. Joey felt better hearing that. How do you know so many good people? Keanu smiled. I've been lucky that way. But also, when you try to do good things yourself, you tend to meet others who are doing the same. They finished their ice cream, and Keanu drove Joey back to the center. Before Joey got out of the car, Keanu handed him a small box. A going-away present, he said. But maybe don't open it until you're settled at the Clarks. Joey took the box. Thank you. For everything. Keanu smiled. Keep in touch, okay? I want to know how you're doing with school and those science experiments. You really want me to call you? Joey asked, surprised. Absolutely, Keanu said. He handed Joey a card with a phone number. This is my personal number. Not many people have it, so don't share it around. But I want you to be able to reach me if you need anything, or just to talk. Joey carefully put the card in his pocket. He wasn't used to adults keeping their promises, but something told him Keanu was different. The next day, Steve and Mary came to pick Joey up. They brought Buddy with them, and the dog greeted Joey like an old friend, licking his face and wagging his tail. Joey's few belongings fit in one bag, plus the backpack and science kit from Keanu. Carol gave Joey a hug goodbye. You're going to be just fine, she whispered. And remember, you can always call me too. The drive to the Clarks' house was filled with excited talk about plans for the weekend. Steve wanted to take Joey to the Science Museum, and Mary mentioned signing him up for school the following week. We got you some things for your room, Mary said as they pulled into the driveway. Nothing too much. We thought you might want to pick out stuff yourself. Inside, Joey found his room had been set up with a new bedspread, a lamp shaped like a rocket, and a small bookshelf with several science books and some fiction too. On the desk was a framed photo of Joey with his mom that Carol had helped find from social services records. Joey hadn't seen a picture of his mom in months, and seeing her smiling face brought tears to his eyes. Is this okay? Mary asked gently, noticing his reaction. We thought you might want her picture. Joey nodded, unable to speak for a moment. It's perfect, he finally managed. Thank you. That night, after a dinner of homemade pizza that Joey helped make, he sat on his new bed and opened the box Keanu had given him. Inside was a watch, not a fancy expensive one, but a good sturdy watch with a compass built in. There was a note with it. Time is precious, the note read. This watch will help you keep track of it, and the compass will help you find your way. But the most important directions come from inside you. Trust yourself, Joey. Your mom would be proud of the person you are becoming. Your friend Keanu. Joey put the watch on his wrist. It felt good there, solid and real. He looked around his new room, listened to the sounds of Steve and Mary talking quietly downstairs and Buddy snoring softly from his spot in the hallway. For the first time in a long time, Joey felt like he might be home. Over the next few weeks, Joey settled into life with the Clarks. He started at the local middle school, where having a science teacher as a foster dad helped him catch up quickly on the work he had missed. Steve worked with him every evening on homework, and Mary made sure he always had healthy lunches and snacks. Buddy became Joey's constant companion. The dog slept outside Joey's room every night and was always ready for a game of fetch when Joey got home from school. Joey called Keanu once a week, usually on Sundays. They would talk about Joey's week, what he was learning in school, the experiments he was doing with Steve, and how things were going with the Clarks. Keanu always listened like he really cared, asking questions and sometimes sharing stories from his own life or work. One Sunday, about a month after moving in with the Clarks, Joey asked the question that had been on his mind. Do you help other kids like me? There was a pause on the other end of the line. Yes, Keanu said finally. When I can. Why don't you tell people? You could be famous for helping kids, not just for your movies. Keanu's voice was gentle when he answered. Some things aren't about being famous, Joey. Some things matter more than that. 6 months passed and spring turned to summer. Joey had been living with the Clarks for half a year now, and life had fallen into a comfortable pattern. He was doing well in school, especially in science class. At first, the other kids had teased him about having a teacher as a foster dad, but that stopped when they realized how cool Steve's experiments were. Joey often helped Steve prepare demonstrations for his classes, and sometimes he even got to help present them. Joey's room no longer looked bare. The shelves were filled with books, science projects, and small treasures he had collected. A model solar system hung from the ceiling, built with Steve's help. On the wall was a calendar where Joey marked the days until the Clarks' big announcement. They wanted to adopt him officially. The adoption process had started 3 months ago. There were meetings with social workers, paperwork to fill out, and court dates to attend. But everyone agreed it was going well. The Clarks loved Joey, and he loved them too. They had become a real family. Through it all, Joey kept in touch with Keanu. Their weekly calls continued, and sometimes Keanu would send packages, books about space or science, a telescope for Joey's birthday, and once a set of movie props from his latest film that amazed Joey's friends at school. One warm Saturday, in July, Joey was helping Mary in the garden when Steve came outside with the cordless phone. "Joey, call for you," he said with a smile. "Someone who says he's in town for the weekend." Joey took the phone, soil still on his hands from planting tomatoes. "Hello?" "Hey, Joey, it's Keanu." The familiar voice made Joey smile. "I'm in Los Angeles for a few days, shooting some scenes for a new movie. I was wondering if you and the Clarks might want to meet for lunch tomorrow." "Really?" "Yes," Joey said excitedly. He hadn't seen Keanu in person since moving in with the Clarks, though they had talked on the phone many times. "Let me ask Steve and Mary." The Clarks were happy to agree, and plans were made to meet at a quiet restaurant near the beach the next day. That night, Joey could hardly sleep. He was excited to see Keanu again and to tell him about everything that had happened, his good grades, his new friends, and especially the adoption plans. The restaurant Keanu had chosen was small and private, with a patio overlooking the ocean. When Joey and the Clarks arrived, Keanu was already there, sitting at a corner table. He stood up when he saw them, a big smile on his face. "Joey," Keanu said, giving him a hug. "You've grown at least 2 inches since I last saw you." Joey grinned. 3 inches, actually. Mary's been measuring me on the kitchen wall." Keanu greeted Steve and Mary warmly too. They all sat down at the table, and Keanu asked Joey about school, his friends, and what he had been doing over the summer. "We're going camping next week," Joey said excitedly. "Steve's going to teach me about the stars, and we'll use the telescope you sent me." "Sounds great," Keanu said. "Take pictures for me?" Joey nodded eagerly. Then he shared his biggest news. "And guess what? The adoption is almost final. The judge said it should be done by the end of summer." Keanu's smile was genuine. "That's wonderful news, Joey. I'm so happy for all of you." "We owe you so much," Mary said to Keanu. "If you hadn't brought Joey into our lives..." Keanu shook his head. "I just made an introduction. You 3 did the rest." He looked at Joey with pride. And Joey has worked hard to make this new life for himself. After lunch, they walked along the beach. Steve and Mary walked ahead, giving Joey some time alone with Keanu. "How's the watch working out?" Keanu asked, noticing Joey still wore the watch he had given him. Joey looked down at it. "Great. I use it every day, and I only needed the compass once when we went hiking and I thought I was lost. But then I found my way back." Keanu nodded. "That's what compasses do. They help you find your way when you're lost." They walked in silence for a moment, watching the waves roll in. "I have a science fair coming up," Joey said. "I'm doing a project on how movies use special effects. Steve's helping me, but..." He paused, suddenly shy. "But what?" Keanu asked. "I was wondering if you could maybe come. It's in September, after the adoption is final. I know you're busy with movies and stuff, but..." "I'll be there," Keanu said, without hesitation. "Just tell me the date and I'll make it work." Joey looked up, surprised. Really? You'll come to my school science fair? Of course, Keanu said. That's what friends do. They show up for the important moments. Later that evening, back at home, Joey helped Mary with the dishes while Steve took Buddy for a walk. Keanu seems like a really good person, Mary said, as she handed Joey a plate to dry. Joey nodded. He is. He helped me when nobody else would, and he didn't have to. He could have just given me some money or called someone else to help, but he stayed. He made sure I was okay. Mary smiled. That says a lot about him, and about you too, Joey. About me? What do you mean? Well, you must be pretty special for someone like him to care so much. And you were brave enough to trust him even after everything you'd been through. Joey thought about that as he dried the last dish. I'm glad I did. Trust him, I mean. And you and Steve too. Mary gave him a hug. So are we, sweetie. So are we. 2 months later, on a sunny September afternoon, Joey stood nervously by his science fair project. The gymnasium was filled with students, parents, and teachers walking around looking at the different displays. Joey's project, the science behind movie magic, had turned out really well. He had built small models showing how different, special effects were created, with detailed explanations of the science involved. Steve had helped with the technical parts, but the idea had been all Joey's. He had interviewed several people who worked in movies, thanks to Keanu's help making connections. His display included pictures, diagrams, and even a small video screen showing before and after clips of movie effects. Joey kept looking toward the gym entrance. School had been over for an hour, and the science fair would only last another hour. He tried not to feel disappointed. Keanu was busy, after all. He had probably gotten stuck filming or had to travel for his job. It was silly to expect a famous actor to come to a middle school science fair just because he'd promised. Your project looks amazing, said Mrs. Peterson, the science fair judge. Can you explain how this model works? Joey pushed aside his disappointment and focused on showing Mrs. Peterson how his miniature green screen setup worked. He was in the middle of his explanation when he heard Steve's voice behind him. Joey, there's someone here to see your project. Joey turned around and broke into a huge smile. Keanu was standing there, wearing jeans and a black jacket, a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. But Joey would have recognized him anywhere. You came, Joey said. I promised, didn't I? Keanu said with a smile. Now, are you going to show me this amazing project everyone's talking about? Joey proudly showed Keanu his display, explaining each part in detail. Keanu asked good questions and seemed genuinely impressed. A small crowd gathered as people recognized the famous visitor, but Keanu kept his focus on Joey and his project. No, Keanu said quietly when the crowd had moved on. I think you might have a future in movies someday. Not as an actor, he added with a laugh, but maybe in special effects or directing. You understand the magic behind it all? Joey beamed at the compliment. Maybe. Or maybe a scientist, I haven't decided yet. You've got time, Keanu said. The important thing is, now you have the chance to decide for yourself. That's what this is all about. Joey looked across the gym where Steve and Mary were talking with his math teacher. Buddy was at home, probably napping on Joey's bed where he wasn't supposed to be but always ended up anyway. In a few weeks, the adoption would be final, and he would officially be Joey Clark. Yeah, Joey said. I've got time, and a family, and a pretty good friend too, he added, smiling at Keanu. Keanu put his hand on Joey's shoulder. The best is still ahead, Joey. Remember that. 5 years passed in what felt like the blink of an eye. Joey Clark, now 16, stood in front of the mirror adjusting his tie. He had grown tall and confident, though he still had the same kind green eyes and thoughtful expression. Today was a big day, the opening of the New Beginning Center for Youth, a place for homeless and at-risk kids to find safety, education, and hope. Joey was giving a speech at the opening ceremony. He was nervous but excited too. The center had been his idea, born from a school assignment 2 years ago when his teacher had asked students to design a community project. Joey had thought of all the kids like him, alone and scared on the streets. He had made a simple drawing of a building where they could go for help, with a presentation explaining how it would work. Steve and Mary had been so impressed with his project that they had shown it to Keanu during one of his visits. Keanu had studied it carefully, asking Joey questions about his ideas. A week later, Keanu had called with surprising news. He wanted to make Joey's project real, with Joey's help planning it. For the past 2 years, Joey had been part of every step, finding the location, working with architects on the design, and deciding what programs to offer. The center had rooms like the one Joey had stayed in at Carol's place years ago, but it also had classrooms, a science lab, art rooms, and counseling offices. Kids could stay for a night or much longer if needed. They would get help finding permanent homes, but also education and support while they were at the center. "Joey, almost ready?" Mary called from downstairs. "We need to leave in 15 minutes. "Coming," Joey called back. He gave his tie one more adjustment, grabbed his speech from the desk, and headed downstairs. Steve was in the living room also, dressed up in a suit. Buddy, now older and slower but still devoted to Joey, wagged his tail from his spot on the couch. Mary came in from the kitchen looking elegant in a blue dress. "You look so grown up," she said, straightening Joey's collar. "We're so proud of you." Joey smiled. "Thanks, Mom." The word still felt special, even after all these years. The adoption had been finalized 5 years ago, making the Clarks officially his parents, but Joey had only started calling them Mom and Dad about a year later, when it felt right. "Your speech ready?" Steve asked. Joey patted his pocket. "All set. Keanu helped me practice it last week on the phone." They drove to the new center, located not far from where Joey had once lived on the streets. The building was beautiful, modern and welcoming, with large windows and colorful murals painted by local artists. A small crowd had gathered for the opening ceremony, including reporters, community members, and people who had helped make the center possible. Carol was there, now retired from running her youth center but still involved as an advisor for the new one. She gave Joey a big hug when she saw him. "Look at you," she said. "Who would have thought that scared little boy I met would grow up to do something like this?" Inside, Joey found Keanu waiting in a small room off the main hall. Their friendship had remained strong over the years. Keanu had kept his promise to stay in touch, calling regularly and visiting whenever he was in Los Angeles. He had been there for Joey's birthdays, school events, and the day the Clarks' adoption of Joey was finalized. In return, Joey and his parents had attended a few of Keanu's movie premieres, always amazed at how he was the same kind, thoughtful person in the spotlight as he was in private. "Nervous?" Keanu asked with a smile. "A little," Joey admitted. "What if I mess up?" "You won't," Keanu said. "But even if you do, it doesn't matter. What matters is why we're here today. Just speak from your heart." The ceremony began with the mayor making a short speech about the importance of the new center. Then Keanu took the stage. He spoke briefly about how the center had been Joey's idea, and how proud he was to help make it a reality. Then he introduced Joey. Joey walked to the podium looking out at the crowd. He saw Steve and Mary in the front row smiling encouragingly. He took a deep breath and began to speak. "5 years ago I was a homeless kid with no hope and no future," Joey said. "My mom had died, I had run away from a bad foster home, and I was alone on the streets. Then one rainy night I saw Keanu Reeves outside a hotel. I don't know why. I spoke to him. Maybe because my mom had always said he was the kindest actor in Hollywood." Joey paused, looking at Keanu, who nodded for him to continue. "That one sentence changed my life," Joey went on. "Keanu could have just given me some money or called someone to help. But instead, he took the time to listen. He helped me find a safe place to stay. He introduced me to Steve and Mary Clark, who became my parents, and he stayed in my life, showing me what it means to use your success to help others." Joey gestured to the building around them. "This center exists because people cared enough to help one kid. Imagine how many kids we can help here. Kids who just need someone to listen, to care, to show them there's a path to a better future." As Joey continued his speech, he noticed a Small group of children and teenagers sitting together near the back. They were from Carroll's old center and other shelters in the city, kids who would be among the first to benefit from the new building. Joey spoke directly to them. "I know what it's like to feel that no one cares," he said. "To think that your life doesn't matter. But I'm standing here today to tell you that it does. You matter. Your dreams matter. And there are people who want to help you achieve them." When Joey finished speaking, the room erupted in applause. The mayor came forward to officially open the center, cutting a ribbon across the main entrance. Then everyone moved inside for tours and refreshments. Later, Joey found himself standing with Keanu in the science lab, his favorite room in the building, filled with microscopes, experiment kits, and everything kids would need to explore the world of science. "So," Keanu said, "how does it feel to see your idea become real?" Joey looked around the room, still amazed that something that had started as a school project was now a real place that would help real kids. "It feels unbelievable. I never thought something like this could happen." Keanu smiled. "You know, most people go their whole lives without making this kind of difference in the world. You've done it at 16. "Only because you helped," Joey said. "If you hadn't talked to me that night—" "But I did," Keanu said simply. "And you trusted me enough to let me help. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is accept help when we need it." A staff member appeared at the door. "Mr. Clark, there's a reporter who would like to interview you about the center." Joey looked at Keanu. "Will you come with me?" "This is your moment," Keanu said. "You don't need me there." "I know," Joey said. "But I want you there. We did this together." Keanu nodded, and they walked side by side to meet the reporter. As they walked, Joey thought about how far he had come from that rainy night outside the hotel. He had been cold, hungry, and alone. Now he had a family who loved him, a purpose that drove him, and the chance to help other kids find their way. All because he had spoken one sentence to a kind stranger. All because that stranger had taken the time to listen. Later that evening, after all the guests had gone and the new staff were preparing for the first children to arrive the next day, Joey stood outside the center with Keanu, Steve, and Mary. "Thank you," Joey said, looking at the three adults who had changed his life. "For everything." "No, Joey," Keanu said quietly. "Thank you for reminding us all what really matters." As they walked to their cars, Joey looked back at the building, with its welcoming lights glowing in the evening darkness. On the wall near the entrance was a small plaque with words that Joey had chosen himself. Sometimes one small act of kindness can change a life forever. And Joey knew, better than anyone, just how true those words were.